Hello there, this is Hope Channel Zambia and you're just in time for the news. Let's take a look at stories making headlines. Mwinilunga Council Chairperson appeals for delimitation of the district. Lusaka Conference honors 5 retired literature evangelists with certificates of recognition. Kaleji calls on couples to refrain from sharing marital disputes on social media. And in international news, Adventist women's conversion raises bar on national development. I'll be back with details after this.
What is coronavirus disease?
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is a respiratory disease which can infect anyone and can lead to death.
How does it spread?
It spreads by being in close contact to an infected person, being close to a person who has been exposed to a coronavirus-infected person, or touching surfaces or objects that are contaminated with the coronavirus.
What are the symptoms?
Fever, cough, difficulty in breathing or shortness of breath, body ache or headache.
How can one prevent contracting the coronavirus?
Wash your hands regularly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or use hand sanitizer. Avoid physical contact with other people by keeping a safe distance of at least 1 meter. Cook meat, eggs, and other animal products thoroughly before eating. Cover your nose and mouth with flexed elbow or tissue when coughing or sneezing, and throw the tissue in a bin. Avoid handshakes, hugging, and kissing to reduce the chances of getting exposed to the coronavirus. Avoid unprotected contact with live farm animals. Stay at home and avoid unnecessary traveling, whether you have the symptoms or not.
If you have a fever, cough, sore throat, headache, or difficulty in breathing, call 909 or 0974 493553 or 0964 638726 and 0953 898941 for assistance today.
This message is brought to you by the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, ADRA, in partnership with the Ministry of Health.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bright Sinkoz on sign language. We have Sharon Akufuna. The details. World Bank Global Disability Advisor Charlotte McLean-Clapper has observed that children with disabilities are more at risk of dropping out of school than able-bodied pupils. Ms. Clapper says the disparity calls for government's intervention on bridging the gap. She said this during the Disability Inclusive Education in Africa program on knowledge exchange and learning. And Ministry of Education Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Joe Kamoko, said government is committed to addressing challenges facing children with disabilities in schools. Mr. Kamoko said children with disabilities have the potential to contribute to national development. Now, Mwinilunga Council Chairperson Jonathan Chinyimba has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to consider converting Mwinilunga district of Northwestern Province into at least 4 different constituencies if the district is to see tangible development. Despite appreciating the increment on the Constituency Development Funds, CDF, from 1,600,000 kwacha to now 25.7 million kwacha, he says Mwinilunga's vastness will make it difficult for the local authorities to produce physical development. Mr. Chinyimba says in its current state, Mwinilunga will see slow progression in the developmental agenda. Mr. Chinyimba has further called on the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, Charles Mirupi, to consider rehabilitating the Solwezi Kalumbila Mwinilunga Jimbe Road, which he said is in a deplorable state. He said working on roads will turn Mwinilunga district into a center for trade.
Mwinlunga District Council Chairperson Mr. Jonathan Chinyimba has called for the delimitation of the district for increased development in the area.
Mwinlunga is too big. Mwinlunga is almost a country on its own. The vastness of Mwinlunga normally affects us in relation to development, even this time around. Despite the increment of the CDF from 1.6 million to 25.7 million, we still have a challenge of the vastness of the district. I'm therefore requesting my president, our president, the head of state, to have a heart for the people of Mwinlunga by dividing or cutting Mwinlunga into 4 or 3 constituencies for the district not to remain behind.
Mr. Chinyimba has also appealed to the government to improve the state of roads in Mwinlunga if the district is to become a center for trade in the country.
I'm also requesting the Minister of Infrastructure Development, Honorable Charles Milupi, to quickly look into the Solwezi Kalumbila Mwinlunga Jimbe Road so that the road can be constructed on time to boost business in Mwinlunga, create employment, and allow people to be moving very well. Apart from that, Mwinlunga is rich. We have a lot of rivers there. We have fertile soils. We have trees. We have honey. We produce maize. We can produce any other product because the soils are fertile and we receive good rains. We feel we should not remain behind. I'm requesting the head of state, equally the Minister of Mines, to look into issues of mining so that 2-3 mines can be opened in Mwinlunga, which will contribute to the national development because Mwinlunga is surrounded by 2 countries, Congo to the north, and this side, it's Angola. Once the Romano West Kakoma Kambimba Kolwezi Road is worked on time through PPP, which is already there, equally, the route to Angola be opened, as well as the route to Kamapanda, then Mwinlunga will be a center for trade. And this will make a difference. It will not just contribute to the development of Mwinlunga, it will contribute to the well-being of the precious people of Zambia, regardless of whichever tribe, regardless of whichever region.
Daniel Chilema, reporting for Hope News.
Now, health missionary Hobby Nkombo has called on society to follow God's principles as these times mental health has proven to be a challenge in the world. Mr. Nkombo has observed that the world today is experiencing a depreciation in mental health, a challenge that he says has affected the whole world. He says as a result, the world is failing to respond to the challenge. He says at the same time, there is a rise in lifestyle health complications which can only be sorted out by following God's principles, which include worshiping God, exercising regularly, eating healthy food, and practicing self-control, among others. Mr. Nkombo has, however, emphasized that despite doing the needful, healing was only a preserve of God.
My name is Hobby Nkombo. I'm a medical missionary, a lifestyle counselor. We are living in a world that is finished, where everything is going down, deteriorating. The whole world is getting affected. Mental stress is rising high. A lot of people are getting affected, getting into a depression mode, and after that the body is failing to respond positively, and people are getting a lot of lifestyle disease. We are also seeing cancer because the body is also failing to manage its normal way of lifestyle of operation because of a lot of things that are happening in the environment. So what are we supposed to do? Follow the principles of God in such an environment. Worship God, drink enough water, do exercise, eat well, do self-control, moderate use of good things, and avoiding anything that is bad. Sunbath every day, do exercise, and also look to God and pray effectively. When stress is reduced, the body or the systems, they start operating well, then healing comes from God. May God.
Lusaka Conference has honored 5 literature evangelists with certificates of recognition for exemplary performance in their line of duty from which they have retired. The women have retired after serving 4 years as literature evangelists in their respective congregations within the conference, where they dedicated their time to selling and distributing books to the public. Lusaka Conference President Pastor Keith Chumpu says the conference is delighted to honor the women and award them with certificates of recognition for their exceptional work. Pastor Chumpu says the women have conquered numerous things for them to reach where they have reached. He says the 5 women should be considered as good examples to Christians who are waiting for the second coming of Christ, and has since urged church members to emulate what the women have done.
Lusaka Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church has awarded certificates to its 5 literature evangelists who have retired under the publishing department in Lusaka. These women are coming from different churches, namely Lusaka Central, Jacaranda, Redemption, and Hillview Park. This event is aimed at honoring and recognizing the work that these women have done. Lusaka Conference President Pastor Keith Chumpu graced the occasion.
So we were just celebrating the retirement of 5 of our literature evangelists. It's a very exciting moment. Now, what that means is that these have worked for a minimum specific period for them to get to a point of retirement. And what that means is that they have been focused. They have wrestled through the ups and downs of literature evangelism. That ministry is not very easy. You have to sweat, you have to pray, you have to keep on moving. And the literature evangelists that we saw have moved on through all the ups and downs, the roughs and the smooth parts of the journey, to the point where we can celebrate them as servants of God who have retired. So to us, that's a very, very exciting moment. We were celebrating it because we're excited, but not only that, but it also serves as an example for those of us and many who are following. There are times when we may get discouraged, there are times when we may fall and rise, but when we look at these sisters who have made it through, it tells us, it helps us to know that this is possible and we can make it.
However, Lusaka Conference Publishing Director, Pastor Stanley Chilembo, has encouraged church members to join the publishing department and become literature evangelists.
Lusaka Conference has just retired 5 of our literature evangelists who dedicated their lives to sharing or spreading the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. I would like to encourage young people who are trying to find something to do. Here is good news for you. You can join as a literature evangelist and be part of the team that is preparing people to meet our Lord Jesus Christ when he will come. Through literature evangelism, we have seen a lot of people who have supported themselves by going to school. They are also supporting themselves to do many things. As they go out to preach the gospel, they are also taking care of other things they have in life. Literature evangelism is one of the ministries we encourage every young Adventist, every adult in the Seventh-day Adventist Church to join and proclaim the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ.
And one of the retirees thanked Lusaka Conference for honoring them.
But with the promise of God that he promises that he'll be with us always, it kept me going knowing that I'm with him. And through prayer, dependence on him, this far by faith. I'm sure that's what I can say.
Yes, your encouragement.
And I want to encourage those who want to be part of the team of soul winning through the printed page. that they should not get discouraged.
In attendance of this event is Lusaka Conference Youth Director, Pastor Billy Mugombo. Meetings of such nature should continue because appreciation can make a day and even change a life of someone. Esnatsikas with Hope News, Lusaka.
This is Hope Channel Zambia, and you are watching the news with me, Bright Sinkos. Just now, let's take a break. We have more stories on the other side. Don't go away.
Are you a student studying journalism, mass communication or video production and looking for a place to do your internship? Well, Hope Channel Zambia in Kitwe is inviting you to send in your application for internship. As a student, you will be acquainted with hands-on work such as news anchoring, scripting, camera handling and TV production. That's right. Send your application and recommendation letters from your institution or college to email tjmkwambwa@gmail.com. For more details, you can call the number 0977 120891. Grab this opportunity and be part of the vibrant team. Hope Channel Zambia, a channel that changes lives.
Thank you so much for still staying with us, and now for the rest of the news. With camp meetings now behind us, next on the church's agenda are public evangelistic campaigns, otherwise referred to as crusades. Lusaka Conference is already gearing up for the crusades, with leaders calling on church members within and out of the conference to consider taking part in the evangelism programs. Conference Personal Ministries Director Pastor Mebin Shanyinde has told Hope News in an interview that time for the church to harvest by spreading the gospel to the public through crusades that take place in various communities has come. Pastor Shanyinde has called for total participation among members by inviting friends and neighbors using various social media platforms, as the message of God is meant for all. He has called on church members not to shun away from crusades, for God has prepared a message for them equally.
You may be aware, in evangelism we have 5 periods. And the first one is where we prepare the ground. The second one is where we sow the seed. The third one is where we cultivate. The fourth one is where we do the harvest. And the fifth one is where we keep that which we have harvested. And now that we have crossed over from the camp meeting times and we are going into September, October, meaning in evangelism as a church, we are in period number 4 where we do the harvest. And it is in this period where we come up with public campaigns, or the so-called crusades. We are merely harvesting that which we have nurtured from the beginning of the year. And therefore, we implore all preachers, all pastors, to make sure that we have a big harvest. Let's not waste everyone who was nurtured. Let us bring them on board and do a big, or what we call a bumper harvest. So every local church member is called to be part of the harvest. Just like you were working during the period of the preparation of the ground, the period of the sowing of the seed, the period of cultivating, and now that it is the period for harvest, we call upon every church member to be part and parcel. Let us not leave this period to the preachers on the pulpit. The duty of all members is to go around to make sure that people are invited. It is the general membership who know members out there in the society who were preached to. So bring them so that they can be having.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church has raised concerns over the escalating number of marital conflicts occurring in homes. Kamwala Mission District Pastor Kenfield Sindolo has told Hope News in an interview that it is sad to see people rush to social media to seek solutions on marital conflicts, but failing to involve gospel ministers that God has appointed to offer counseling. Pastor Sindolo said people should consider building their marriages on Christ as the foundation if conflicts are to be resolved in homes. He said once a couple involves Christ in their homes, it will be easy to resolve conflicts. Pastor Sindolo has urged couples to refrain from posting their problems on social media and instead involve the clergy whenever they are faced with conflicts.
There is a very serious discovery that today we have homes that have displayed a very unpleasant situation of fights, conflict, that is very unnecessary for families today. And we even see some of the activities that are so unbiblical taking place even in our society, in our communities. That is so saddening. Allow me at this moment to mention quickly that the report that we got for the last year 2021 telling us about cases that went to the courts and that ended in divorce there. On the 16th of January, we were told that in the Daily Mail, we were told that there were 22,543 marriages that ended in the courts. And among some of the things that were cited as causes to such a huge number of marriages ending in that way was conflict in the homes, was marital unfaithfulness, and all these other many things. I'm concerned with fights that are taking place in the homes. One, if we want our homes to be successful, our marriages to be successful, we can only succeed if we build our marriages on Christ as a foundation. Remember what we find in the book of Psalm 127 verse 1. The Bible there is clear. We may try to do any other thing to build homes, but unless the Lord builds the house, those that labor will do it in vain. And therefore, the encouragement is that let your marriage be built on Christ, the foundation, and you will be successful. Because even how you resolve conflict, how you resolve problems, it will be in a godly manner, and there will be peace in the homes as long as Christ is given the position he needs to have in a marriage. And in conflict resolution, people have resorted to different ways of resolving conflict. Others have gone to Facebook, and you find they will throw a post there, a statement that shows already that there are problems in their homes, and thinking they'll find solutions there. Others have posted to radio stations wanting to find solutions there. But even there, you would find that you can't find a better solution when you post your problems in such a platform. Others have resolved to running to their friends. Instead of finding better answers, they've found more problems there. I want to recommend that when there are problems in your marriage, the best way to handle it is to find a man of God, a pastor, whom you can trust and go and sit and get godly advice. There are many who may say, but I don't stay near where a pastor stays. There are many congregations where you can easily access the contacts for the clergy who can sit down with you and help you with godly counsel on how you can resolve marital problems. Many people take it so light, and they think They can use any other means. I want to let you know that go to the pastor. The pastor is trained to handle such matters, and you will gain godly advice even as you go to men of God. I recommend this strongly, and you would be happy in your marriage. God.
And finally, in our news, we turn our focus to international stories. More than 1,500 members of the Western Nigeria Union Conference, NUC, Adventist Women's Ministries, rose from the 2022 national resolved to make a difference in issues affecting women in Nigeria. To make good on their resolve, the program created a rallying point for the funding of a women's empowerment center. Themed I Will Go, in line with the Global Church's call to mission, the program formed part of the drive towards equipping women with more than spiritual tools to contribute to national development. It also aimed at building stronger family values, morals, and intellectual empowerment through addressing some areas of female vulnerability, abuse, health risks, literacy, poverty, leadership, training, and dealing with 21st century children, among others. Besides national delegates, it attracted leaders from the Church's West Central Africa Division, WAD, headquarters in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, including Mrs. Omobonike Sesui. And the Western Nigeria Union Conference has 63,259 members as of June 30, 2022. The headquarters is in Lagos, Nigeria. It is one of the 3 unions that operate in Nigeria alongside the Northern Nigeria Union Conference and the Eastern Nigeria Union Conference, respectively. Well, that item brings us to the end of the news. Let's take another look at stories that made headlines. Mwinilunga Council Chairperson appeals for delimitation of the district. Lusaka Conference honors 5 retired literature evangelists with certificates of recognition. Clergy calls on couples to refrain from sharing marital disputes on social media. And the item that wraps up our news, Adventist Women's Convention raises bar on national development. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Bright Sinkers, and on sign language we heard Sharon Akfuna. God bless, and thanks for your time.